You really didn't test it at all. Thought you had everything. I don't have this. Well, have to start another way. I got this to the east, to the north, to the west, to the south, to the center, up and down. Oh, knew I should have grabbed the chapstick. Oh, I enjoyed my stuff too much. May the power of blue argonite propel you. May the power of blue argonite propel you. May the power of blue argonite propel you. Forgot to get a virgin energy out. I don't want people to say I'm tricking them. Get the virgin energy out. We give the virgin energy out in crystal form. We give it out in the traditional metal. So, greetings, everyone. My name is Big Pontiac. I am the holder of the infinite sacred ball game that was created by the Hero Twins. And I am also that one and only Galactic Daddy-O, welcoming each and every one of you to my galactic patio that reaches from Minnesota to the universe. And tonight we are drinking Lonnie Coogan's Chocolate Dunkel, which is, I think it's 5.5. It's not a very strong beer, but very good tasting. So pop them if you got them. Tonight, I'm still working. I smoke weed. Done a little bit of all the drugs. I've never been a heroin junkie, I can say that. But I got a little bit of this shatter left. That's what shatter is. So, thank my main man for bringing the shatter over, and then for Hamilton's advice. So, pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. So I guess we should get first things first off my first subject tonight. Guess we'll get that off first. But what's happening? OTF, how you doing? Thank you for joining me. UFC, not sure what this exactly is, but I dig it. Okay. Lakers scored 136 last game before January, and the guy who scored the 102 was Thomas Bryant. Wow. Good looking. Of course, you had to see that Viking game. That shit was just more ridiculous. And they kept, they already said that Matt Ryan is the only quarterback that lost the worst loss in the Super Bowl, and then he lost the worst loss in a regular season game. And I watched that Houston Oilers game because I want to say my guy I knew, Mike Rozier, played in that game. Mike won the Heisman Trophy, I think, in '83. I think he played in that game too. And Pete Metzelaar played on the Bills side. Number 88 of that Bills game that lost that game. So that was ridiculous. That Lobo did a great job of breaking that Cook rundown. I was calling, oh, there he is. Oh, yeah. A lot of rigged games. And there's that bad man, Siova. Oh, my goodness, Siova, I really need to email you. Got something working, and you might be interested. So, that game made no sense at all. No sense at all. I was at a high school game and we watching the games on the phones. Nephew had a game tonight. Man, nephew hooped tonight. He had like 12, 14 points. He had like 10, 11 rebounds. He had 6, 7 assists, and he drew 4 charges. And they blew the team out. So really, he had a good game. So we was watching it on the phones. Then we later went to the restaurant. And by the time Cook broke the long run, we were at the restaurant. So yeah, it was a interesting day. You think they Saturn Day for real? I think the World Cup super rigged. Got a feeling they want Messi to win. I'm kind of thinking that too. A lot of money's out there. I've been getting calls and emails about betting, but there are people throwing parties watching this, but nobody cares about that stuff. At 12 o'clock, I'm watching NFL. I'm not getting up in the morning to watch that. So, but yeah, it was some ridiculous games today. The game with the Bills, I mean, that was a lot of ridiculousness too. So it's been a day full of that. I missed the middle game because it was out. It's out now. Just be in front of a TV all the time. So we'll see. I do have a subject tonight I'm going to speak on. Now, you guys know I go see a lot of movies. And if you come in here, you said that last night. Yeah, exactly. No one cares about it. Exactly. No one cares about it. They threw it in right now because it's a lull in college football. If you look at the way they timed it, it's a lull in college football because the college football, I mean, the teams that are going to be in the Final Four are all for almost a month. And so that's why they snuck it in. And then again, they put it in early tomorrow. Well, to time where it's at too, but enough to try to get enough people interested. So you got to be a soccer diehard to really love it. So I'm gonna break down Avatar. This is gonna be a really quick breakdown. You can watch it if you want. Now, Jeffrey, he was the one that said he thought it was beautiful in 3D. I was originally going to watch it in 3D, had tickets to watch it in 3D. The roads up here is fucked up. We've had a blizzard. We've been in the grips of a blizzard the last 4 or 5 days, and we have a movie theater literally blocks from the house. So we saw it on IMAX instead of 3D. I still got a color spectrum, but I want to say this. Guys know I like quantum of science. And he says a theory that I'm going to apply to this movie. And you'll hear the rest of the theory as I go. Sometimes when they make these movies, they make them bad on purpose. They make these movies bad on purpose. This was 3.5 hours or 3 hours and 20 minutes. I am really into screenplays. This is one of the most jumbled screenplays I've ever watched in my life. I hit Super Slide with all the movies this movie copies from. This movie copies from Dune. This movie copies from Moby Dick. This movie copies from basically Cowboys and Indians. I mean, there you can say Platoon. I mean, this movie is a gibber jabber of a bunch of stuff we've already seen. Um, you got clone versus clone. What is his name? Takashi 69 or what's his name? The dude with the dreads from New York with all the color hair. You've got him. You've got a character that looks like him. Is that his name? Takashi 69. I don't know the guy who got killed, but the rapper that told on people. You got a character that looks like him, and you see this character. You got to think Tarzan. So you're thinking Tarzan, and at the end they call him Monkey Boy, which is Jungle Book and Tarzan. So this screenplay is so jumbled. I mean, at one point you are seeing the movie Moby Dick because they're hunting these creatures, and you literally are seeing the movie Moby Dick. The way they go after when they catch these whales is Dune, them eating the spice. And they do say some clever things, how smart these creatures are and why that these creatures, the serum from these creatures have the fountain of youth. But you've got a Indian tomahawk used. Come on. Um, Now they did have some points. We have, but this is one of the silliest things. You have tattoos on whales. How did the whales get the tattoos on them? Did the people come from the whales? Because we do see them go to the water people. And this is another part. It was like they spent way too much time showing the people experiencing the water people that adopted and stuff. But I mean, and when they show the British come in here, I'm gonna quit saying European. I'm gonna start saying British because that's the enemy. The real enemy of the people in America is the British. The British have always been the enemy. The British have always hidden behind things, but it shows how the British come in and they kill things. And so there is a minor message, but you don't get like the tree of life being the big message like the first one. You don't get this at all. And so, but it does give the show that the consciousness is given through nature. That is kind of cool. But you know, this movie is nothing more than cowboys and Indians. I mean, we've seen this movie a million times. It was cowboys and Indians. Um, uh, People more in tune with nature is more, you know, Lumeria. Um, they did show a nice ancestor connection. But again, when we see the different peoples of the color, we've got a little bit of Wes Paneri's work and with Dr. Valentine. I think they copied each other's work when they showed the people of different color. Um, but again, I think this movie's made bad on purpose. I think I agree with Quantum of Science. They are going to use the best CGI to be when they do the fake Mars mission. They're going to try to use the best CGI. The CGI was okay. There was one mistake though in the movie where they were against the ship firing, and you actually saw a dude not even like the dude. What I don't know what the shot was, but the shot was a person just standing there. So it was some kind of mistake in editing where they didn't put the special effect. But I was like, wow, was it a beautiful shot movie? Was it the best? Now Jeffrey said he saw it in 3D. I saw it in IMAX. At times it was beautiful. Was the animation beautiful? I don't think it was any different than the past 20 years. But again, I think they're hiding it. Overly long. The movie was way too long. Um, uh, some interesting things they had adapted to when they were more aquatic people. They had to adapt to being more aquatic. But the movie was too long. The movie was way too long. Oh, the NC Eagles flying high. Come on. And you guys did beat A&T this year, but y'all still Division 2. A&T went to Division 1. That's 69. The Eagles flying high. But yeah, they beat Jackson State, which I am not surprised. This is what surprised me about Dion. You know, most schools, when the coach takes another job, they don't let him coach. So I didn't understand why they let Deion coach. Most schools, when you leave, they don't let you coach. Remember when I don't know if y'all remember when Michigan won the championship in '89? Bill Frieder did not get along with Bo Schembechler. He was like, "Fuck you, Bo," and he took the job at Arizona State. He did not let Bill Frieder coach in the tournament. And Bill Frieder's second person that later went to San Diego State, I can't think of his name, he won the national championship with Bill Frieder's team with Glenn Rice and that group of guys. So that surprised me. But so that's my thing on Avatar. Dune. I'm telling you, Dune, Moby Dick, Cowboys and Indians. It's nothing new, and I think they purposely make it nothing new. So disappointed. I don't really see a big difference watching it in IMAX compared to watching it in 3D. Now, Jeffrey, if you come in, I know you said you liked it. I thought it was made bad on purpose. I really did. I'm telling you guys, at times, it's like they come here, when they first come, they destroy all this nature to come down there, which is showing when the British come or the Europeans come, everywhere they come, they destroy. But see, we see that in the Matrix when they talk about the Europeans being a virus. That's what they're showing. They show that. And then when they're hunting these things, so they just came and they can just wildly just hunt anything on this planet. There ain't no rules or nothing. I mean, it's just, there would be more diplomacy than what we see. They just going to attack them. And then we have the hybrids that broke away. Then there's, a baby that again is born European, completely European, and he's Tarzan in the movie. So, well, thank you, Kenneth. Right, Shock Prime was coaching this game as well. It was a great game. Okay, yeah, I didn't check it out, but thank you, Kenneth. That's nice of you to say. Yeah, I was really surprised they let him coach. That's not standard practice at all. And all these people mad at Dion. You see, I ain't said or came on. Come on now, y'all being simple. So, if a brother come in and say, I'm gonna start having brotherly contacts, and that means forever. I'm gonna kind of change the culture. That means forever. If you go to somewhere in 1 year and you change your culture in 1 year, you did your job. This man's foot was damn near falling off. He's still out there coaching. And as I've said before, Deion tried to get the Florida State job because they gave it to the other brother before they gave it to Deion, if y'all remember. Deion went after that job, and they gave it to another black man, but they got rid of him after 1 or 2 seasons. But Deion went after that job before Jackson State. I don't know if y'all ain't sports head, you might not remember that. People was taking him seriously then. One reason why news people that are on the news every week, especially announcers, one reason they go into coaching so well because it's the same preparation. So Deion went right into CBS at first, and I think he's still on the NFL Network. So his preparation was still a lot of the same. That's why it's easy for them to go into it. So I don't know all this tripping off him leaving. You guys act like a brother say, I'm going to change the culture and I'm going to be brothers to brothers. That don't mean forever. And it's standard practice for a coach to leave and take his recruits. That's standard. So, I don't know. Yeah, he should have been given the Florida State job. Exactly. They were taking him. Florida State was taking him serious. So that's so, before Jackson State, he was trying to be there. And a head coach is just a manager. You are the ultimate manager. And then you bring in people around you because the head coach really don't coach, especially a college coach. You out there in the community, you trying to get recruiting, you trying to get them dollars to come in. And Deion being the face, somebody said he does have charisma. And people, just as people were excited that would consider going to HBCUs, they're going to be considered excited to have Deion in their living room. They're going to be just like that around the country when he tries to get recruits there. Because it wasn't that long ago that Colorado had good teams. So he'll get the recruiting. He'll get the players. So I don't know why people get upset. Act like brothers got to be one way forever. I don't know, guys. That I don't get that. I don't get that saying that a person is stuck because you make some comments. And let me say this too. There's a story called about Lilith. Oh, let me see what PJ. If I didn't say what's happening to you, PJ? Oh, I want to show this too. I'm tired of all the canceling because people run in with a narrative that Negroes were making embezzling money and wasn't paying prime right. He got his kids, got the hell out of there, breaking in his cars and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You know, you remember, go to it. Like here's a key story. Um, some of my coaches played with my other coach when he coached Central State University, and they was playing Florida A&M down in Florida. They were on Florida A&M's campus. The bus was pulling in to go practice, and they really hadn't went to the hotel or nothing. When they stopped at the light on Florida A&M's campus, some students ran up and opened the bus and started stealing some of the football equipment. So most HBCUs are in the hood. He had his car broken into. Come on, 300,000, and you talking about 5 million? Come on, that's easy money. That's easy money. Are more? No, no, they're all rigged by the same way. They're rigged by the same way. I mean, the syndicate has always had their hand in it, and so ever since the syndicate came in and has bet on the games from, you know, gambling, and the people who control gambling have been part of it for over 100 years now. So to say one's more scripted than the other, I'll say that the best scripted sport to me is hockey by far. It's the most entertaining of the scripted sports. It's sometimes ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as we see in basketball and football, I think. Uh, I used to love partying up at Central State in the late 90s. Okay. Yeah. I told y'all to start. We had a guy. I had a guy that I was just casually talking to one of my friends that was a recruiter. And I was like, telling him I was hooping. I was like, yeah, man, me and DJ is running the gym the other day. And he's like, DJ is in town? I'm like, man, he been here for about a month. And he was like, if you can, I said, I tell you what, I'm going to take you guys down to Central State. And they want him to come to school. And DJ wasn't doing nothing. And we was hooping like twice a week together. So I was like, just meet me at the gym and, we'll drive, we'll go down there. Dude, when he meet me to go see if he could go play college basketball somewhere. And then, when you see people later, it's like, oh, my bad, giving you all kind of excuses, so everybody ain't hungry. Everybody that, has opportunity. Oh, but I want to show y'all this. I showed, let me see. I heard people say NFL is the worst. He said, I really liked Avatar. But I'll say this, Mr. Super Sly. Let me say this. You've got to see. Okay, so let's break it down. You got to say Moby Dick. When they're hunting the things, when the big thing comes over, the way they're hunting that thing, that is Moby Dick. You can't say that's not Moby Dick. You can't say that harvesting the whales is any different than Dune. It was the same thing as Dune. Very same thing as Dune. I thought the first movie was more spiritually based around the tree. They did it at the beginning. They showed them connecting with everything. That's a little bit of Lemuria, but there wasn't a big emphasis on that. There wasn't a big emphasis on the spiritual side. The emphasis is on the war. And this is, and I'm going to get off a little bit on this. The things that drive this society is fear. Fear of death. Fear is the biggest thing that drives the society. And if they can instill fear in you, especially fear of dying, then you're controlled. So that fear is always there. And again, in this movie, we see a lot of this fear, fear of dying. Now, again, as I said, consciousness coming through nature, that was clever. That's something to really think about, because I did like that aspect of it. Pretty, yes, but not. We expected this to be the best anime combination we've ever seen. I don't think it was that. But the cowboy Indian thing, again, what did we see when the British came over here and the French came over here. What did we see? The French started trading. As the French were fighting the British, the French started giving us guns. So again, we see them using these same type of guns. I mean, it's like this thing wants you to fight all the time, and so that's why they're showing us that kind of thing. No matter what goes on, you're going to have to fight the way they're fighting you. So Carrie, the doctor's daughter, was a physical aspect of Awa in the flesh. Yes, yes, I agree. She was. She was source. She was source in the flesh, and she didn't really realize that she was source. But when you saw her interaction with nature, and of course the build up in the end, yeah, you saw that she had the source power. She had the source power. So, but that's my thing is I think they really, I mean, the screenplay was all over the place. I mean, and we saw these aspects of other movies. That's my knock. We saw so many aspects of other movies, and I really think it was bad on purpose. I really do. I think it was bad on purpose. Long. I'm telling y'all, long. But let me tell you, you know, when you see a long movie, when the one boy gets the outcast whale, when they try to trick him and they leave him, and the whale you think is going to drown him. I went out because again, you know, IMAX, they got bars and that stuff now, you know. So I left and went to the bar to get me another beer. Came back, he's still with the same whale. It took dude a minute to make my beer. And I go back, I ain't missed nothing. Him and the whale is buddies now. But it was like the same scene. The scenes were too drawn out. I mean, we understand, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I to say, I don't know. I think it was made jumbled on purpose. I really do. I think the screenplay, and it touched some things, it touched some spiritual things, but it didn't touch the spiritualness where it continued through the whole movie. Like the spiritualness wasn't like the part of the first movie I got was that the tree of life was the soul of everything. And that was part of the movie. This movie, I never got that as a continuum. It was like, you know, spiritual here, then action, 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 spiritual here. To me, it wasn't a continuation. And Sly, yeah, the big plot hole for me when the Sea Clan left Jake and his family to take on Chris and the Marines. Ah, okay. Plot hole for me when the Sea Clan left and his family to take on them. Yeah, yeah, the Marines, exactly. Exactly. And then all the, you know, the tongue, like the New Zealand's, the tongue, like you see in the Mayan calendar, you know. And the big thing is, how did the whales get the tattoos? Sly, answer me that. How did the whales get the tattoos? Now, one of the family said that they thought maybe the people and the whales was connected, and that's why the whales had the tattoos. But I want to know who tattooed these big giant whales. How did the whales stand to get the tattoos? How did the whales communicate? But I'll say this. I will say this. One thing that you did get when they talked about how smart the beings were, that gave you a little bit. I'll say that was worth paying attention to when they talked about how intelligent they were. And then when the lady said it was her soul animal and that, you know, she could create symphonies by herself. So, uh, uh, but I like this. You're right, Sly. You're actually that was perfectly right. I read a book that did the same thing. Oh my goodness, is this book up here? I have a book I want to share with you guys. Is it up here? Man, give me a second to see if this is up here because this will really make you think if it's up here. It's up here, but I don't know where it's at in my bookshelf. Let me see if I can find it because I'm reading it and I think it's downstairs. Yeah, it's downstairs. Oh my goodness. But if I can remember, gosh, if I can remember, I'm just gonna have to come on another time because I'm not gonna stay on here terribly long tonight. Busy day. Been busy day today, but busy tomorrow. We got like, man, we got 8 inches last week. We just got like another 5 or 6 inches. It was nasty tonight. And again, like uh, where I live now, I live more east. I live about 5 miles east of where I used to live, and so some of these areas east isn't that far, but roads were really bad today. As we were coming back, it was terrible. We were going to go out to the Mall of America, which is only about 15, 20 minutes away, but the roads were so bad that we just did some local Christmas shopping because I got some shorties that I've adopted. I have my boys have a cousin that both her parents died, so the children don't get anything from grandparents other than their father's people. So I'm gonna send some gifts off. My boys' cousins, other cousins, send some stuff off. Some shorties like we all should do. Adopt some people and help them out. I'm not a big holiday person. My house would never decorate. I really don't celebrate this stuff, but my daughter does. And so my family now, we got the house all done up. So I don't really fake the funk, but this is the celebration of your families. And that's all. Feels good. I mean, I know Sly. I know, all of you out there that have children. It's funny, like even like the stuff with the phones and the tablets and the computers, and in the video games, like we buy this stuff as parents because it's expected of us. Because again, you don't want your child going, and saying he ain't got the game and everybody's talking about games. And I mean, it's just as parents, and we can afford it. That's the thing, is we can afford this stuff. So we buy it. I mean, and then when our children be more like this, and we got the world going like this, and the world wants to just do this, do we take the blame for that? We have to take the blame for that too, but we're just doing the best we can. That's all. And that's part of popular culture, So I don't know. I bought that stuff from the very first kind of games. I mean, those of you that are old enough to remember Atari, my brother had those games, Atari. But to the first Xbox, the first PlayStation kind of stuff, And we look at us, if we can buy the things that their peers have. We look at, did we do a good job because we can provide these things. It's like I was telling my daughter, and I would tell my sons, I'm like, don't judge how people look on the first day of school. Look how people look on the third and fourth and a couple weeks in, because they still wear new stuff. And I said, sadly, a lot of people can't wear new stuff. Hey, Lorenzo, how you doing? I said, but honey, you gonna keep wearing new stuff all year. And it's not fun, We're not to compete with the other parents. That's just kind of how we do. And this is the time of year where we judge ourselves, especially if you have young children. We judge ourselves. If you have young children, you want to provide, and whatever your children want. It's like, what is the TNT, the Christmas story? And he wants a BB gun, despite all the possibilities, what could happen. But the parents felt that, they were good parents by providing the BB gun. And that's what we do. We provide the BB gun because we think that's what make us are we good parents. In the 50s, it was the BB gun. Thank you, Dole Eyes, for coming. TV. Oh, yeah. Thank you for coming. I support you too. Thank you for coming in. And that's how we get judged, and that's how we judge. So I know you do a lot of football and stuff today. What did you think about Cook's run? That run was ridiculous. And it's like, that's why I call it the movie tackle. You see when the effort is not there. Poor Matt Ryan. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. Matt Ryan done lost the greatest Super Bowl loser and now the greatest greatest game in the regular season. As I said, we were all sitting at Yeah, we were all sitting at we were sitting at like a well, it was kind of breakfast lunch, but it wasn't a sports bar. So we was watching the game on the TVs. Again, we had high school basketball today. So saw some good hooping today too. But and this is a hotbed of hooping up here. We putting boys in the league up here. The Jones boys is from Apple Valley. Uh Royce White, Rodney Williams. I mean, boys. What's his name? His daddy played for the Clippers. He's in Toronto now. That's another kid from down here. We got the 7-footer up in is he Sacramento? Chet up in Sacramento. So this is a hotbed. Page is up in Yukon. So this is a hotbed of hooping. I don't know if people understand it. Here in Minnesota, the Hoopers is coming out of here. I watched it. It's nothing but winter tournaments now too. So a lot of good basketball. Nephew's team is 2-2. They lost two. Like the team, De La Salle was coming in when we was leaving. De La Salle beat them by like the last second shot. So I was about to say you saw that live. Yeah, I saw that live. Yeah, I saw that run live. We almost went to the game. We was looking. This is one of the cheaper games to go to because everybody thought the Colts was going to get blown out. So the tickets were really cheap. So we've been thinking about going. Might still go Christmas Eve. Not sure, but we were thinking about going, and the storm hit, and we was like, yeah, we definitely not going downtown, even though I could just drive and take the trains into town. That's kind of what's cool living here. You can park and take the trains, and you ain't got to fight the hawk. The trains take you right to US Bank. You catch the train at the Mall of America, it takes you right to US Bank. Matter of fact, when they extend the trains, they're going to be closer to where I live, but right now I'd have to drive to the Mall of America, and I can jump on the train there. Like if y'all ever fly here, you can, when you fly here, you can fly in and they'll take you over to the Mall of America if you stay in there. So keep that in mind if y'all travel. No, yeah, I didn't go to the game this weekend. Yeah, I didn't go. This was a cheaper game though, but they still sold out. But yeah, we didn't end up going. We had the high school game to go to, so we ended up not going. And as I said, the storm, we was considering going, but the storm hit. We was like, yeah, we probably wouldn't make it. And the storm has not left. I mean, it still is out there. To tell you how much snow, we've gotten, the houses we live in is row houses. So we have association that does all the shoveling and stuff. They shoveled the walkout twice because we have visitor parking too, and everybody has their own, separate parking. And so they shoveled it out twice. So Dallas. You think Dallas will get it? Thank you for coming. As I think it's lining up to be the Bills and the Eagles again. I think we're going to see a replay of what is that 17? That's what I see is a replay of 17. They're not going to let that rookie out of San Francisco go too far. Vikings again. Teams that have never won the Super Bowl. Vikings, Bills, Cardinals, Lions, Titans. Who else do we say the list of teams that will never win? Those 5 for sure would never win. Cardinals, we can put the Cardinals in there too. Cardinals. So those are teams that will never win. But that's what we'll see. We'll see. That's what it seems like the script. And I've said this before. I think they're going to let Jalen Hurts win the Super Bowl because the humiliation that he went through when Tua beat Georgia. Because I think Lobo said he was going to go back and look at that film. Go back and look at that game. Every 5 minutes, they got that microphone shaming Hurst, and he was a G. He was smart enough that I think he saw what was going on. And every time he had some football cliche, but it was a shame. It's like, well, to keep the mic and a guy is winning the game while you're on the bench, but like a G, I think that's why they're going to let him. I think that's shaming right there that he went through when because Tua didn't really play a great game. He looked this way and he just threw it that way, and the guy was one-on-one, But one thing I do want to, help people with too is to see is to see the formations and stuff too. I might have to do live like when I did the Super Bowl a couple years ago when Brady won. I might do that a little more. Because you can kind of see the fix, and that's where analytics comes in, because analytics is nothing more than fast on slow, weak strong on weak. That's what analytics is. And if you look at it the way they put the pieces down, it's almost like the electric football. If those of you remember electric football, it's almost like that. Where you had to keep the brushes good, and you set up all the men, then you turn on and it I mean, really, if you look at the games are like this. You're looking at the personnel they're putting in. You've got to consider that. You've got to look at what calls are being called and what calls are not being called. I mean, all this has to be considered. Are the gloves activated? Are the gloves not activated? You can see the cats that can't catch. Now, I'll be the first to say there were guys. Gary Clark was one dude. When I was in camp with them, he was one cat that never caught in his hands. He always caught it in his body. He said he didn't like catching his hands because he liked to catch in his body so he could look around. To me, that was the mistake of always catching your body. If it hits the pad, it's going to bounce off. But he was a cat that always caught it in his body. I mean, of course, a long pass you got to, but when he was inside over the middle, he would never do this. He was always like this. A lot of guys, there's some guys that's like that. Most guys, you want to catch it in your hands. And so these are all the things that have to be considered when you're looking at the script, because now, you can bet every play. And that's where I think we can take advantage of this, because every play you can bet on. And I guess that'll show if we really have got onto the script or not, if we've really figured it out. Because as I've said many years, they got the egghead dude in the room now that loves this stuff. As I said, the beast that runs this loves the fighting. And so when we're trying to figure all this gambling stuff out and how they're scripting this game, they love that. They really do. They love any attention. But I think we're getting closer and closer to exposing it, and more people are seeing it. Lions, Browns. Let me see. Lions, Browns, Texans, Falcons, Panthers, Cardinals, Bengals, Chargers, Titans, Jaguars, Vikings, and Lions are teams that have never won a Super Bowl, and they will never win a Super Bowl. Of all those teams that I would think if they led a Super Bowl, I want to say it makes me think Jacksonville. Just because I think they want to move that team. Yeah, they upgraded that stadium. I think that's the only pro stadium that I once played in that still exists. No, the Orange Bowl is still there too in Miami. But yeah, the Gator Bowl, they just redid it. If I'm not mistaken, they just redid the Gator Bowl. When I played in the Gator Bowl, that sucker had wooden bench seats, except the little piece where the college alumni sit. But I mean, the rest of the stadium was like old-fashioned wooden bench seats. It was like, man, even our stadium didn't even have that. But it was like, wow, this was a really old stadium. So, but it's one of the few that still exist. When I played at A&T Stadium, it was the first year built. Now the stadium is 40 years old. Time flies. Them games don't last long. It's funny, when you practice every day, you go into college, it seems like that stuff is going to be forever. Girl broke your heart, you think that's forever. When you're in college, and them years go by so quick, especially if you play in ball. Those years go by super fast. Super fast. And before you know it, you're out into the world. The Bills. Yeah, the Bills definitely. I'd say if any team, maybe the Jaguars. But other than that, yeah, and the Bills. Yeah, the Bills definitely won't win. And I really don't know why, the Bills, but they won't win. They like to let the teams, and that's almost every sport. They like teams that have won before. And that's pretty much all sports. They like repeat champions. I think that sells more merchandise, more ratings. I don't know. I mean, that's what really, if you look at the NBA, what saved the NBA and why they had Boston win was Boston winning. That kind of saved the NBA. And we know that the NBA, when the NBA, when the leagues merged and the teams became almost all brothers, the NBA, the championships was so bad. When Magic played his first championship, the stuff was on tape delayed. And I've talked about this many times, but I'm saying you see how the thing evolved. When the league became dominantly brothers, they wanted to make it disappear. And it wasn't before Stern said, what we're going to do is we're going to make it an individual league. Because up to then, the NBA was about teams and team dynasties. I mean, imagine if Wilt Chamberlain played under the social era that we had today. He was a monster. He was a monster in every way. They talk about Wilt Chamberlain playing games when he was in junior high, playing pro basketball in some of these outer pro basketball leagues. In junior high, people picking him up to go dominate so they don't know who he is. He can make a little money. So we just never know how great that guy is. Orange Bowl has been demolished since, the Orange Bowl's gone. Hard Rock Stadium. Oh, okay, they played in that one. The baseball team in Marlins played in the stadium that was built where the Orange Bowl was. Okay, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Thank you. So they demolished it in 08. Okay. So that only makes about one or two stadiums still exist. Still exist. Okay, I didn't know. Because I've been down to where the Marlins play. I've been down to there. I know where that is. Oh, okay. Thank you for telling me that. Getting old, man. Getting old. Oh, sad story. And if I break down, you've got to understand that this story is really close to home. I almost forget to mention this. So I'm gonna tell the story the way it is, and if you're a football fan, you can appreciate this. I met a young guy. Well, I even go back further. My third grade teacher had a couple children, and one of the children broke his arm. And Curious George, they met the guy who was Curious George, got a cast on his arm. This is the Lett family. And a little bit of history of the Lett family. The Lett family and my family, the Ampies, we have the oldest of melanated people. Our reunions are the oldest. Both of our reunions are over 100 years old. When we went from North Carolina, stayed in Indiana, and then finally went into Michigan after they put the Potawatomi out, they let the melanated Indians move into to lower Michigan. The Letts was one of the base families that came with the Ampies. So our families have been intertwined. Matter of fact, we formally met the day before I'm going to A&T. This fella's that I'm going to talk about, his father played at A&T. So the day before I'm going to A&T, three of us are playing. My father, we're at a barbecue. My father had a golf thing. We're at a barbecue. We're going to leave, take me to college the next day. So I'm playing fight with a couple dudes, and I slam one in. The dude was like, damn, I thought you were Toby. He's like, you were Toby, because that's my nickname was Toby. I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, man, where you going to school? I was like, matter of fact, I'm going to A&T tomorrow. He's like, oh, my dad went to A&T. And so the house was at Eddie's. And sadly to say, these two cats that grew up right across the street from each other their whole lives, both died fairly young. The house I was at, the barbecue, Eddie, 58. Eddie died at 57, 58. My friend Errol just died last week at 60. And so I go to A&T. I'm there around October, November. This cat's sitting there with his dad in the gym. They recruited him to be a center. So he comes to A&T. My first 2 years, this guy never made the traveling team. So all he does is scout team practice. I know one guy that played all 4 years of college, and he played all 4 years on the scout team. If you see the movie Rudy plays scout team. The beating he takes, scout team player. My friend played 2 years of scout team. Very tough guy. Had his shoulders separated. Now, the year I didn't play, which would have been 83 season, he played. Did he play? I don't remember. I can't say. But for 2 years, he was on that scout team. And 2 years, scout team every day. He's a scout team lineman. Every day he hit. Do you understand what I'm telling you? A scout team lineman has contact every day. Me as the starting receiver, there's days I wouldn't even have any contact. Maybe just doing the one-on-one drills. But the majority of time, linemen hit every day. And then when they go into scout team, you are going full at it every play. Now this cat got a call. His cousin called me. It's like, something's going on with my cousin. Can you check on him? This cat had an OSHA degree. Our lives was being intertwined. We both leave A&T. We both moved back to Michigan. My father gives him a job at the city. He starts working for the city. When I became a police officer at Western Michigan University, he got a job over there. So me and this cat, my son's middle name is his middle name. His name was Earl Michael. My son's Devin Michael because of him. I mean, this guy, we've been friends for 40 years. But anyway, his family started asking me. And so he worked at the Dell nuclear plant in South Carolina. Had a friend check on him. And he's like, man, he's telling me these stories. I don't know. So he was starting to lose it at 50 years old. And so, so he's obviously had dementia. So we didn't really know how bad he had it, but I got a text from my ex-wife, and she was like, he's bedridden. Now, what you have to understand when you have Alzheimer's, what happens to you is your body will naturally live. You go to sleep or get sick, your body will pretty much keep working unless the disease is eating away at you. Well, what happens with Alzheimer's and dementia is the signals that tell your body to breathe, the signals that tell your kidneys to function, all those things forget, your body doesn't see, your body basically shuts down. My grandmother started stroking out all the time. They cut off her ankle. They end up cutting off her knee. And so this cat dies of Alzheimer's dementia at 60. I mean, this man, pretty clean dude. Me used to get high a little bit. Getting high was my generation. But he still maintained a professional career. Wife was a dentist. I mean, their house is like a palace down in South Carolina. People forget down south, it ain't like up north. Them houses be cheaper down there. You get more for your money. But yeah. And his poor wife, her mother has Alzheimer's or dementia. And so to see her husband just die. And so this is like my 5th or 6th teammate that has passed. And if you don't think that football players have taken a beating and just the stars are the ones that take a beating, here's a guy that, as far as I know, never played a college game. I mean, maybe that last year he did. I had to call. I don't think even then he really played. I think he got beat out. I don't even think he was the center that year. I have to check. But what I'm saying is this guy just practiced and got CTE from practicing. So that's what I've been dealing with. What he say? You put Wilt the greatest. I do. I don't put anybody ahead of Wilt. I don't care. If you change the game, look at Wilt when he played in high school, when he could go 10 and the lane is shorter. When Wilt was in junior high and high school, you could go 10. So they finally changed the rules. They made it wider. What did they do for Michael Jordan? They changed the rules to make it easier for him. They took away the hand check. Remember, there one time when Magic played, you could fully engage a dude. And then Michael Jordan, when they wanted Michael Jordan to be Jordan, took that away. Then tweet. I'll tell you one of the best examples to see of Michael Jordan's games. They showed, it must have been, let me see, they won 91. So they showed the Blazers and they showed the Bulls play in the year before they won it the first time. So that must have been 89, 90 season or 88, 89 season. The Bulls, the Blazers handled them easily. And then you see the year that, you know, the rules is based towards Michael. And you see how these was two of the same teams, Scotty there, and the difference in the calls in between the games on very similar teams. So, hey, thank you for coming. You see those crazy games today? I know you saw all the crazy games today. Thank you for coming, though. I'm not going to go too long. Kind of tired. We had a busy day today, but I wanted to say that and to say, you know, emotional thing too. I know, you know, this story I'm telling about a guy doesn't mean nothing to y'all, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is that, you know, it's I even want to say form runner, even though he's quite a bit younger than me, he still probably played Oklahoma drill. Hey, Super Sly, if you still listening or somebody, you know, relate this to him, ask form runner if they still did the Oklahoma drill when he played. I'm sure they did. And he played running back. I'm sure he faced a lot of Oklahoma drills. And something I never understood is like my generation, like the coaches seem like sometimes they got off on getting you hurt. I didn't understand that. Why you want to hurt everybody? I did not understand that. Hell yeah, my Vikings. I knew he'd say that. Oh, we got to get on PJ. I know he ain't pulled that Russell Wilson jersey out, even though it's sweet. That blue one's especially sweet. But I know he keeping that one hidden. Wilson, I don't know. His arm strength has seemed to diminish. He does not seem to have the deep ball. Without the deep ball, he's no good to them, really. So we'll see. But yeah, the Vikings, that was a crazy game today. Lobo's video shows it perfectly, that lack of tackling and the oops and the bad angles. That's what people don't understand. People purposely take bad angles to not tackle. Like I can chase you. Like think about it in the movies. Like we're doing a scene where I ain't supposed to catch you, but I'm chasing you. So I can chase you not to catch you, if you understand. It's just that simple. And you see the bad angles people take. And after you do it for a while, you know, you need to be a step slower. And, you know, there's the radios in everybody's ears. It ain't just the quarterback and the defense player. Everybody's got earbuds. And so if they need to do something, it's telling them. Like we see the block, the in the Bills game when they did the roughing the kicker. We saw that play. It's like, you think he just really just was overzealous trying to block the kick? No, he was told to go in there and rough the kicker up. I mean, it's this easy. It's that easy. So, I heard Scotty say the game was scripted for MJ when he was on the Hayden rant. No, he told the truth. I mean, the biggest one is go back and watch where it's Bird, Magic, and Michael Jordan taking pictures, and you see how Michael reacts when Magic says, "Don't get too close to Michael. They gonna call foul." It physically shook him. He tried to laugh and make a joke. Oh, you ain't played in a while. He's blubbering. Magic gave what they say, one of the keys. Magic gave a key to saying, you know, you get near Michael, it's a foul. So anybody that loved Mike, you can't say LeBron in those prime years went to the line as much as Michael. It was Karl Malone and then Michael going to the line the most. And I watched all them games because I had WGN, baby. All them years that Michael played, I lived in Michigan. And that was one of my normal channels was WGN. So I saw all their games. I haven't worn it. I think he's doing that. He's paid to do it this rate. Seattle will have an early pick. That's true. Yep, you're right. Bad angles, week in, week out. Yeah. Bad angles, putting yourself out of position, you know? And that's what, I mean, again, you look at these times, some of these cushions the DBs are getting. It'd be like 2nd and 2, and these DBs are so far back, and these cushions are so far, and I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't you up? You know, it'd be critical, and you just look at these alignments. Like, think about it when Tim Tebow was playing in the playoffs, and they had all 11 people up on the line. And what can that be? A pop pass, we used to call it. That's all they did is a pop pass because there ain't nobody behind them. Do you see how they scripted? Go back and look at that Tebow game winner. I knew Singletary was told to fall down at that goal line. Oh, that made no sense. Even the announcers were surprised that Singletary didn't go in because it made no sense for him not to score then. It made no sense. And he didn't get the first down. So it's like they wanted the field goal kicker to get the glory instead of him getting the glory. And Corey Holcomb, you ain't right about. Corey Holcomb said that he fell for the excuse about them not wanting Marshawn Lynch to be the MVP. No, they didn't want Seattle to win the game, Corey. Wilson threw the interception on purpose. They had practiced that play to intercept it since the beginning of the season because they show all that too. You can go back and watch that little thing on. See, they tell on themselves. So that play was scripted exactly the way it should have been. So Brady would win another one. And don't get me going on Brady. You guys know how I feel. Brady did not even start his senior year at Michigan. Brady would start, and they put that Drew. What was Drew's name? They put Drew in the second half. Brady shouldn't even got drafted. So his whole slant pass. They did it 2 times against the Broncos, the Raiders game. I know that was the same slant play Tebow did, opposite side exactly. Who puts everybody on the line when they ain't been killing you with the run? Only to run that pop pass. So look when you look at these games, every sport, but basketball and football that have plays, look at the plays developed. Look at the defense. How's the defense? I know a lot of people don't study the verbiage and formations, but right now you're pretty much looking at every team run the same thing. This is another part of the script I want to bring up too. This is another part of the script. How is it that the same teams, despite having multiple coaches, are like running teams? It's like you got some of these teams that have, as a club, have always run the ball, and then they always run the ball. You take a team like the Chargers that have always, since Sid Luckman in AFL games, they have always passed the ball. They have always tried to. So why is it that these teams keep these identities? Like the Redskins ain't never really ran a full run and shoot. Where they try to say Mike Leach and Air Raid, that shit is run and shoot. Come on. Mike Leach, you understood Miles Davis' system, but the run and shoot was already in there for years. So I don't know. So all I'm saying is study, those of you study formations, study what defenses they're in. Then you can kind of see the script. So that's why I might do, during the game going and, call out formations as much as I can, because that's how you should be looking at it too. So you really can have a critical, you can have a critical understanding as why did they get in this formation? It was like me watching these high school games. I'm looking, okay, here's a perfect example of the way I would coach a high school game. A couple of weeks ago, I'm looking at the nephew's high school game. They're playing a team that only went 3 for 11 in the 3-point plays, but they've been killing them on the drive. So my nephew's team is up by 1 with basically 14 seconds left. The coach doesn't do a 1-2, 1-3-1 press, because that's what I would have done. I would have put one guy on the ball, had everybody back, and kind of had him on the ball, and then dropped him back in a 1-3-1 press of a team that ain't hitting no deep shots. I would have went zone those and made them beat me with a 3. No, they play man, and well, sure enough, the dude dribble drives and hits a pull-up. That was their strength. When a good coach would have recognized it, or his assistants would say, look, they ain't beat us with the J all day. They've hit 3 out of 11. The odds of them hitting the 3 in this critical pressure system ain't very good. That's coaching to me. That's thinking. This coach don't do that. He's caught, we get coaches. I've been with coaches that quit thinking. They blow up. When you say a player panics, I've watched coaches blow up too. So, but learn that part of the game too. Learn what they're running. I mean, run and shoot is pretty simple. You put them 5 people out there and you see what kind of, you're trying to get, again, slow and fast. It takes away the pursuit that was hurting the defensive pursuit Jimmy Johnson, see, Jimmy Johnson was the one that really changed the game, because Jimmy Johnson was the first one in Miami that put his best players on defense. A lot of people didn't do that. A lot of people put their best players on offense. He was the first one to really start putting the best players on defense. And I'll say this, for those that have played college football, the most athletic looking dudes have always been linebackers. I mean, linebackers, you can look at them and see that, linebackers are the most balanced looking cats, far as just, I don't know, more balanced looking cats that compared to receivers and other positions. Linemen is real big dudes. Receivers tend to be scat little dudes to tall and skinny dudes. Linebackers to be like stocky, big, normal dudes. So be a student of the game as well. As you criticize the game, criticize it from a point of being a student of the game. And so when you criticize it, you know why you're criticizing. You have, you know the game enough for people to say, okay, he kind of knows the game. Because as much as the trolls are starting to come back, because I'm getting a few more views, not many, you can't say I don't understand the game. This is a lifetime of this stuff, of studying this stuff. And watching these old films and comparing, and you see it. That's where I get the movie tackles, from watching old films of games, and you can see it. Remember, watch my video of Jim Brown. Jim Brown's running down the sideline, and I had never caught this, and I had watched this run many times where the dude dives out for Jim Brown, where he knows he can't get him. I was like, well, watch that video again. You see how long they've been doing this kind of stuff. They don't want to tackle somebody. And them Henry runs, look at the Henry runs. I think you can catch some of my videos from last year on the Henry runs, where he's running 100 yards. And this dude, 6'3", he's no blazer. And he's just this big dude running like Eric Dickerson, just straight up and down. No juking, but straight up and down. Eric Dickerson, straight up and down. Ain't faking nobody out. Like Herschel Walker, straight up and down. Oh, I want to show this hat. I showed this to PJ. Y'all got to get this one. Look at this. That's what dress hats be having in them. There's that satin lined and whatever. This is All-Star Edition. So I don't know if y'all hip to these. Y'all might want to get these. These winter hats, of course. I mean, that's lined, so. But this is clean. No, this is kind of clean, y'all. Get that in there like that. If y'all hat collectors, you might want to get one. You know me. Oops, wrong side. I fell down. I got the Eagle stuff. I got all the clean Eagle stuff. Man, I want to do a show on winter dress. Man, all the boots I got, all my freaking coats. Man, I want to do a show on that kind of stuff. The way you can dress up. I love the wintertime because you can dress up. I love to dress up in clothes. Excuse me. Yeah, so many options. Oh, and white's the winter color this year. I don't get white stuff. The white gear is popping this year. That's the cleanest stuff. Thank you. But yeah, white gear this winter is the cleanest look. So just give y'all that little bit. I got a few stuff in here. I got like 3 closets full of food, shoes, but clothes. But I want to do a thing on boots and how to look at boots. Oh, and I'm gonna do a video. We are going snowshoeing. We are going snowshoeing. And so I'm going to make the video. That's so fun. That is a nice workout. If you guys have never been snowshoeing, that is a really, really, really good workout. I think the first time I had my pair of snowshoes was from the, what is the union? What is it? Americans Auto Workers, AW, whatever, remember, Americans Auto Workers, whatever that, UAW. UAW gave me toys because my father was working at Eaton's, was part of the union, and a part of the toys was snowshoes. So I've used snowshoes my whole life. Really fun workout. I plan to make a video on snowshoes. I live next to a ski hill. I'm not going to make a video of me skiing. That's not for me. Going to the bar at where they ski is for me. But we might do some tubing over there. And so, yeah. Still kind of up in the air if we're going to the game on Christmas Eve. Still tickets left, kind of up in the air. We got a lot to do that day. 2 parties. We're giving 2 parties. A lot going on. So kind of up in the air on that game. So don't know. But be going to, let me see, we're going to see the Wild January something. So yeah. And we're going to see another basketball game. Because the guy apparently that has the season tickets where we said again, it's a couple games coming up where we're getting the tickets again. So I'll tell you guys about that when that comes up. But things are going good here. Siova, if you have my email, Eagles are the bomb. Please, AM1, if you hear this, I got something going on. Sly, if you hear this, call me. I've got something that might work out. Um, Need to bounce the idea off people. So, yeah. We try a million things. We try to see if some will work. We try to get these like minds together. Say, hey, I'll pay you. Just what do you think about this idea? I'll pay you just for your opinion. So I want that kind of thing. So I think I'm gonna call it, guys. I've been going for an hour. Need to crash. But thank you so much for coming to watch. But yeah, I hear you. Some of you, when you talk about these games, start analyzing the games like you hear Tony Romo and these people analyze them like that too. You sound more intelligent when you can break down the formations and you can break down the defense and you can break down what they should have been looking for compared to what they did. When we start breaking down angles and stuff, you see, when you look at these angles, start breaking that stuff down. So there's a lot of stuff that that can be broken down, that you young people, that you guys have run with it. So I appreciate it. Well, this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I appreciate everybody that came. Thank you for coming. For those of you that watch this in the future, I appreciate it. Yeah. And if there's any questions or anything, I'm an easy guy to get to. I'm on Facebook under Brian Toby. So thank you. That's nice to say. Thank you so much. So, I'm an easy guy to get at. You can find me very easily. Eagles are the bomb. I think this one is under 8-win Flint Eagle. So not a hard guy to get. I ain't never scared. I ain't got no reason to be scared though. Just a normal guy doing normal things. But I'll tell you something that's mind blowing. So I'm 61 years old. I'll be 62 next year. I've been a parent since I was 28 years old, and my youngest won't graduate until 29. So it's like the majority of my life, I'm going to be like a parent. It's like, that's going to be like, I'm trying to think, Brian Jr. would be 29. He'll be damn near 40. So it's like 38, 39 years of my life is being a parent. I don't know if that's normal. Yeah, like 38, 39 years. I started being a parent at 28, 27, 28. And my youngest won't graduate until 29. So that was one of my callings. I've always loved children. I've always loved to teach. You know, I've always loved to be taught. So, but yeah, gosh, well, this is one thing I wish I could think of the name of it. It's called God. I'm gonna have to just take a picture of it and put it out there because I want you guys to think about this stuff. Because the books are fighting back. I mean, the fight is between the machine. As I've said before, you can feel how you want about this, but our reality is run by a being called Yadaboth. There's no doubt about this. This is all the gods, good, bad. It's all one God. He goes by many names. Marduk is another name, but this guy captured the mind, and when he captured the mind, this is where we get the tech world from. So we have this entity that wherever the mind came from, they work together, and this is why we have what we have today. This illusionary world we have today. Now it appears like, again, Lucifer is not a person that is from the history of the Bible. If you look at the Bible of the history, Lucifer is something different. Lucifer, if you find him in real time, he was a Babylonian king that denied them peoples their freedom. And that's why the name Lucifer has been what it's been. Now, one thing it appears like Lucifer did is Lucifer had the keys. Yadaboeth, for one reason or another, and the Mai gave the keys to Lucifer. He seems to have turned things against them. And I know for a lot of you, you don't want to hear this, but this seems to be energy that is going to help us against this other energy. And that's what it is. That's why you don't fight this thing. Do you know how many times I would go in the past and fucking fuck Cortez up and didn't change nothing? You know, it took me a while to like, this thing loves this. It'll fight me. If that's what I keep doing is going back and fighting this thing in history, it'll keep meeting me. And it was eager to fight me in history. Do you understand? It is like every time in history we'd go to fight and it was eager to fight me. And that just shows you don't want to fight this thing because it loves the fight. It loves the fight. That's how you face this thing, is you don't have to fight it. And so all is revealed. But there's another part of this reality that you have to understand too, is open pits. See, a lot of people, like mud flood is an open pit. It's a hole that they just dug in there. And this is the problem with people wanting to Google stuff and not looking at all these books and finding this name. See, this is what people don't do. I go and I say, I see this name, I want to find every source that talks about this shit. Not just what Google says. This is a nigga read back to me. Well, Google says, come on. Find all this stuff because all is revealed. Everything is revealed. This is the technology information age. That is what this machine has to do. In the war, I see the war. I don't have this book. It's downstairs. I started reading it, but it's called Surveillance Capitalism. This is a book that it would be difficult for a college person to read, but yet this is a high school book. Just as I show you the high school books that kind of push the rainbow agenda, this is a book that clearly is a high level book. I mean, for most high school readers, this would be hard. But it's called Surveillance Capitalism. I ordered this book, you know. I was like, okay, I'm going to go order this book. And this book, I'm reading it. It's like, oh my goodness. But it shows you there's a battle going on. Because books, see, you would think with this, the computers and stuff, books would die. Books are fighting. So whatever the fight is, there's something there that still wants us to read books. And books can help. The things, I know these things sound quirky, but they say, don't pull your nose hairs out because the bacteria that'll give you Alzheimer's comes from that. So I know it gets nasty, you know, but just try to trim them. You got to dance. You got to dance every day. I know that sounds silly, but you have to do it. You have to dance every day. I don't care if you dance for 3-4 minutes. Dance every day. There's something that keeps your wires going with that motion of dance. Because guys, this is the problem. Some of you say energy never dies. They give you Alzheimer's. Look, most people aren't real. I mean, this feels real. You eat, you feel pain, but most people aren't real. And it's not a lot of real people that we live in a world of. So if you learn to become real, you learn to become real. And these are the type of things that you should be facing. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Where's all my people at? Where's all my people at? This is Gnosticism. It's not really true. This is Gnosticism. It's not really true. Lucifer was an entity. No. Lucifer was actually a king. Lucifer was actually a written king that you can find in Babylonian lore, not the entity, a real living king. So he was not the entity. He is not an entity. So he was not the power behind that. He was actually a living king, and that is why the name is dirtied. Hey, so thank you for joining. That is why the name is dirty. It has nothing to do with the entity behind Babylon. The entity behind Babylon is Marduk, which is again is Yadabath. The entity behind Babylon is called Marduk. What do they say? If any of you have read the autobiography of Augustus, you know what they say? They say when Augustus went into Babylon, he saw Marduk. No, that's wrong. He saw Alexander the Great and broke his nose off. Okay. However, this is the other part. When Alexander the Great went into Babylon, he saw Marduk. Marduk was in a stasis. So that's the entity. So it's not Lucifer, it's Marduk, who is again Yadabath. Yeah, there are a lot of bots out there. That's all right. That's all right. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Hey, Nicole, thank you for joining. Of course, he's controlled opposition. Everything, they want this stuff released. I mean, again, it's nothing hidden, so he has to release it. So he's not telling us nothing that everybody already knew. They're saying, it's like this Twitch cat that died. I mean, think about it like this. When I heard Twitch, and I know ain't nobody else gonna say this, but when I heard Twitch died and the way he died, you know what it made me think of? It made me think of the way General Rommel died. When General Rommel, when they tied him in with the Valkyrie, and them Nazis went to him and said, "Look, we either gonna take out all your family, or we'll let you take yourself off, you drink this shit, and we gonna give you a state funeral, and we gonna take care of your family." That is what Twitch sounded like to me. Was General Rommel. It's the same thing, and we tell you, the price of fame is hell. You think you're gonna be in a movie and you're gonna be on TV, and you think it's a dude I'm friends. His name is Theo. He does those. I would say his whole name, Theo Wilson. He does the history repeat stuff. He's got a TV show. Now I don't care how many seasons he get. Right now he did a season. He recreates past events. You think that he's gonna get a free pass? You think it just goes away? And so when I heard of Twitch, that's what it made me think of. It made me think of General Rommel, where he's like, you go by yourself, go take yourself out. And Infinite Consciousness, look up his channel, and when his book comes out and he shows that a rapper in 2020 died every 45 seconds, then people getting sacrificed. That's why the thing. It's a written contract when you make this big, or they literally take your soul. It's kind of the same kind of deal. It's the same kind of deal. I mean, it's damn Yankees. It's whatever Lola wants, Lola gets. Yeah. I was explaining. I mean, the contracts, like Sly was saying, he used to see the contracts in blood, and then the contracts became just like a 3D card. Like the contracts literally was like this at one time. You see how even his autograph is in that 3D? The contracts was literally like this at one time. You signed over this. That's why you see his autograph. This was literally how they did the contracts. You was in 3D. You see that? Not anymore. Not anymore. The way we remember the Harry Potter papers, when you see the action going in the paper, that is what you sign. You sign something that you're doing. If you're a singer, you are singing. I'm telling you, this shit is just, it sounds unbelievable, but this is what they sign. This is the kind of sacrifice that it takes. That's why they say a jealous God, no God but I. That's not a God. A God has nothing to be jealous of. A God has no wants. A God don't need you to give his shit. Burn some incense to, that's for you. That ain't for the God. The God is joyful being the God. I mean, the greatest part of being a God is you left alone, really. It's lonely, but that's the other part, is you left alone. And if you make everything run the way it's supposed to run, they don't ever need you. You just there. You go on. I have my brain. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Most people, that's, most people would want the fame. And have all these women that are obviously jump off women, and you have the men the same way. Jump off men. Line up that you have to have sex with these women to advance. So it is it's not what it's built up to be. It's not a star is born. It is a star is probably taken away. that's probably more what it is. A star is taken away. You know, because the sad part of talent is generally the people with the talent tend not to totally benefit from their talent. I mean, yes, Michael Jordan has made a lot of money, but look at the money he's generated. I mean, look at what Michael, people don't remember the Chicago Bulls was the seller of teams before Michael Jordan. They were one of the worst teams ever. I mean, the best thing you could say about them is when they had Bob Love in the 70s, Butterbean Love and Van Leer, that group. Bullwinkle. He was a dude named Bullwinkle used to hoop. I think that was his name. Big center. I think that was his name. Bullwinkle, like the cartoon. So Chicago there wasn't no team that should have ever won the championship. Not the way they like. They like the same team to win. But they script it the way where you like they scripted for New England all them years. They're there. Remember the Bears Super Bowl shuffle beat New England in the Super Bowl. You can see they were putting New England there. And almost you would have thought New England was on the same course as the Buffalo. They'd never let them win it. But when 9/11, I think that changed the reasoning, and I think that changed the scripting. So 9/11 came, the Patriots was right there. They're Michael Jordan. They needed a Michael Jordan. The British Europeans needed a Michael Jordan. That's why they created Tom Brady. Because they couldn't let Michael Jordan stand here and them have nothing, no Rocky. When they had no heavyweight champion, they had to go get a heavyweight champion. They made a movie of a dude who was 5'2". And he was the heavyweight champion. And then to put a statue up of Rocky in Philadelphia before Joe Frazier. Come on. Before Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier is probably the last warrior. I mean, Joe Frazier is one of the few examples I can give you of something being fixed, but yet he could have died because even though it was fixed, when Ali and Frazier fought each other the first time, I think it was fixed up to the very end. When Frazier knocks down Ali, that seems very suspect. Not to say it couldn't happen, but knowing how they can script events, but they beat each other. I mean, Joe Frazier literally almost died that night. Look at the pictures of his face. Ali got one side, but Joe Frazier's face, I mean, he literally almost died. He was in the hospital for a month. We don't ever see that anymore. Now, I don't mean like my cousin got in the boxing ring and got killed on TV. He was on Wild Water Sports and got killed during the boxing match. You can look up my cousin Sean Thomas. He literally got killed on TV boxing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying where a guy still had a chance, but the guy took all the beating. He took the beating, didn't care. He was willing to die. That's what a warrior is. A warrior has no fear. I mean, I'm sure if me and Nick Taylor sat down and talked about, when you're at war and you're going through it, you have no fear. You get to some point where you're not fearful. You're cautious, but you're not fearful. Like the shit going around, bullets and bombs going around, it don't scare you anymore. You're used to that kind of thing. And so you're able to keep your head when this stuff is going on around you. You're able to still keep your head. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people blow up. So, well, I think I am going to cut it down. Went a little longer. I mean, you can look up, I don't have to argue about church stuff. You ain't have to block him and none of that. Just look it up yourself. Hey, Big Pontiac, I missed your streams. Happy to catch a dropping truth bomb. Well, thank you, Hard Hitting. Thank you. Look this stuff up yourself. That's all. I mean, I just want you guys to look up to see what this illusion is. Don't get caught up in things that ain't going to lead you nowhere. Mud flood ain't going to lead you anywhere. It's not going to lead you anywhere. It's about Aryans. And I can say this till I turn blue as this rug behind me. It is about Aryans. No, it's part of the plan. Kanye is part of the script. He ain't doing nothing. That if the way they do business, they get rid of you. You see how they bump up rappers? If they really was bothered with Kanye, the way they kill all these rappers, they would have no problem killing him. Right? The way they kill rappers, they have no problem killing rappers. If he was really harming these industries like that, they would kill him because rappers get killed every other day. So he ain't saying nothing that they don't want him to say. He's controlled opposition. He always has been. Again, these people being sacrificed, we already know that. I mean, we know they're being sacrificed. So it's nothing new. So, well, guys, that's all I got to say. I'm sorry I don't consistently come. I'm still kind of, getting things together. Busy, busy. But after the holidays, I'm going to have a little more time. Stuff is more and more organized. I mean, on my altar still ain't really. We still got to get another. We're going to have to get some storage and put some of this big shit in storage and then bring my desk and stuff in and get more bookshelves. And I'll tell you what too, guys. Those of you that are readers, I work, I'm a librarian. And so, if you want to read and tell me what you like to read and I can probably sell, give, we'll see, whatever, So I'll bring some books and see if people want to buy them on here really cheap. These are all hardback books. Gosh, do I have any examples? So for those of you that read, I read every day. So still need TV service. Hey, James Gant. I'll let James Gay. I got Bally Sport. Oh, you got Bally Sports. Oh, you might have to email me. You might have to email me for $20 a month. Oh, I might have to see if that works, James. I might have to see because I don't have Bally Sports and I was about to get I definitely need I don't mind. James been coming on. He's been coming on. So I don't mind James coming on. James hustling, You got to hustle and it's legit. Because I definitely need Bally. Because I'm about to get the Bally app, so I can watch hockey. Luckily, the NHL and ESPN and TNT, matter of fact, the Wild are 10 out of 13. So Wild is hot. And when we go to the hockey game, I'm a broadcast to show you how crazy it is. I'm gonna get PJ to come up here when we go to a hockey game. That shit is crazy. We go over there and eat. But yes, I need Bally's. But yeah, James, no, you can hustle. Yeah, you can hustle. I don't mind. But yeah, PJ, you come up here. Let me know. Give me some warning, and I'll go get the tickets and shit. And I'm gonna conclude like this. For those of you that have skills, spiritual skills, people skills, don't let people take advantage of you. Empaths. You should know this. If you're empathic, people always try to take advantage of you because they know they try to hit something emotionally in you. But healers can't heal everybody. Can't heal everybody. So keep that in mind. So, Super Sly, Jeffrey, we agree to disagree about Avatar. Yeah, was it beautifully shot? Absolutely beautifully shot. I still think they have, I'm with Quantum of Science. They have better CGI than what's showed even in the movie. And the movie's beautifully shot. Again, I didn't watch it in 3D. If the weather would have been better, I would have, because we had tickets for it. But I watched it on IMAX. So I didn't watch it on 3D. The shit on IMAX was still amazing or whatever. There's so many different Macs, but I won't say it's IMAX. The shit was still amazing, beautiful. But again, screenplay, so jumbled. So many other. It had to be made bad because it when it's so obvious. I mean, when you're watching this and they're chasing these whales, you've got to think Moby Dick. I mean, if you are any kind of literary thinker, you've got to see this, them chasing these whales and think, well, no, wait a minute, this is Colonel Ahab. And then the way they die with the whale coming over them, I mean, this is Moby Dick. And then to kill the whale to get this thing like Dune, the thing is, the liquid that makes you live forever. That's Dune, the spice. So cowboys and Indians, I mean, again, if you've got to use your enemy's weapons to fight your enemy, that's this beast all over again. And the point of it is how the British, and I say European so often, but it really boils down to one group of people. It's the British. It ain't really Europeans in general. Yes, Spanish has a lot to suffer for, and the Dutch. Yes, they did harm America, but no one harmed America as much as the British. Not when it came to still who took the most resources out of America. It was definitely the British. And to this day, the British still benefit from our natural resources. So that's not conjecture. If you just true student of history, you can see this. So yeah, so James got some real stuff going. See what you can do. Wasn't like he was someone that hasn't come on before. And so yeah, new things coming as the coming year. Hopefully I can get the stuff together. As I say, I'm still 4 months in the new place, so I had to move my son. I had to move out of one place. Had to move my son into place. Had to move myself. So still kind of getting stuff together. But yeah, looking forward to the New Year's and the holidays. So hopefully I can do one of these games. I know the Michigan game, I'm going to one party, and then I'm having a party for the Georgia game. So New Year's Eve is going to be kind of bonkers. And I know most of you going to celebrate your families and celebrate your families. I mean, you don't have to look at the season as one thing. I've looked at it like this when my children were young. It was a celebration of my children. And it was a kind of a celebration of my ego too, as I started talking about how we give our children, we spoil our children. It's also our ego, because we've got it, we give it to our children. And that's just natural. So I want to say that's natural. Because you got it, it's natural for you to give it to your children. Now, when we have these spoiled little people running around, we partially responsible. But I noticed that when we say, I'm going to take them damn phones, we take the phones and the tablets and make you watch regular cable with me. That seems to get their ass straightened up pretty quick. So it's something to consider. Well, guess that's all I got tonight. Thank you for hanging with me. Thank you for watching the sports stuff. Thank you for still watching the sports stuff. I appreciate it. And thank you for the people hanging out. And so this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your friendly funketeer, Big Pontiac. I am from the lands of Black Dog, the great chief that was down here in these lands. I live on the lands that he once called home. And so it was meant to me to live on these lands as I give love to the great spirit that we all love. And so whatever you call it, however you connect to source energy. And that is one thing that Avatar is cool. It was showing you that we all have the ability to connect to source. I'll say if anything came out of Avatar, when they pulled their hair and plugged, we all have that ability to connect to source. You don't really need to plug into a tree to, you can just put your hand on a tree to connect to the tree. When a dog comes up to you friendly, and you just touch it, and all of a sudden you feel good for just touching the dog. So, it's the same kind of thing. Like when you ground and you go outside in the grass and you just stand in the wet grass or just the grass and you ground. It's the same thing. You're connecting with source. And so you don't need anything to plug in. You naturally connected to that. You just have to, take the time to connect to it. So, oh, and let me say this. I'm going to tease a little bit. Yeah, you witches, man. The one witch, you on Tulsa now. You on Tulsa, and you said you would never get nothing else done to your face. You got one eye. What's going on with your left eye, honey? That shit is like this, and you done. Oh, both you witches. Oh my goodness. But why? Why did you do all that to your face after the mistake that was done to you before? There's that much pressure on you, and you gotta be, man, my goodness, you gotta be 68, 69 by now. And that's the pressure on you to keep doing movies. You got to do all that to your face after you had a mistake and whatever that is in your left eye. And Love and Above, you hanging in there. I don't know why Love and Above. You came on my feed. Wow, how is that? How is that? I never like your stuff or nothing, and you ain't unfriended me, but your stuff still comes up. Well, that's how y'all are. Well, y'all know. Okay, enough of my rambling. Thank y'all. I appreciate it. That's all I got to say. I can't do no more. But be joyful. Be joyful. Love your people. Love your people. If your parents spoil them, that's nothing. There's no greater feeling than waking up and seeing all your children spoiled. And if you have 4 or 5 children and you're able to do that, or even if you have one, there's no greater feeling than you've created, even though it's a commercial driven miracle, for those children of yours and relatives, you've created miracles in their eyes. And so that's a good feeling. And that's something society has kind of given us. And so we don't have to buy love, but we share what we make. And that's one way we share as consumers and giving gifts. So yeah, there's a joy in that. There's a joy to see a young child that wanted something and they're a good child and you give them that and the way they look at you and you did that and they knew. I mean, that's priceless. That's something you can't buy. And so for those of you that are still able to do that and have young children, revel in that. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of you and your wife, you and your whatever. Be proud. However old they are, be proud that they know you thought about them. And I'll finish with this story. The last time I saw my grandmother, I must have been like 45, 46. Yeah, my Molly was born, so maybe 40, 45. And my grandmother looked at me and said, and my grandmother's kind of blind by this time, but my grandmother whispered, she's like, and my daughter was born in January 14th, so this is probably February. My daughter's only about 1 month old. And I really took my daughter to see my grandmother. And my grandmother, we sit down talking, and I get my daughter to my grandmother. My grandmother leans over to me, and she was like, I'm sorry I didn't get you a Christmas gift, but living here, she was in a nursing home by then, but she was living here. I wasn't able to get out and get everything I wanted for everybody. I'm 40. I'm at least 44 years old. And here is my 90-year-old grandmother telling me she's sorry she couldn't get me a gift, that she wasn't able to get me a gift. So, because one time in her life, it was unthinkable for her not to buy me something. If you understand that kind of love. So, carry that on. What you was given, you give if it's your turn. And love, love her above. I agree with the witch. Love her above. Keep your vibration. Love her above. Keep your vibration. Love her above. You wake up with love in your heart. I've said this before. Your love meter. Keep it up here. Because a lot of times, just leaving the house, family can take that love away. But you want to leave your house being a super saiyan. And I know, you may think I'm just saying this, but I'm telling you, you want to leave the house where, you're a Mr. Motherfucker, you're unfuckable with, you are super saiyan. That's how you should leave. That's why you raise your vibration when you leave. when you leave, your aura should just, you know, when you walk out your door, that music playing when they say you need a theme music, that's it. That music is you, the way you sound. Because you become so much of it. When you come out, you are the sound. That's success. That is love. That is confidence, strength. That's a sound that just comes off you. That's why they got theme music, because that's what you're projecting. Remember, I can't say he was a friend, but he was a dude that I knew that was a crack person. And he's just funny. Someone was like, you're on crack? You always dress so nice. And he told the girl, it's like, just because I am a crackhead, I don't have to look like one. We used to call him Diamond Jimmy. But I mean, that he had a great point. He had a great point. He still respected himself. He's like, yeah, I'm an addict. I got a problem, but I don't have to live the look of an addict, because I can still function and work and get my stuff done. But when I go home, I'm an addict. That's called a functioning addict. So can't say good, bad, indifferent. There's functioning addicts in the world. So definitely, definitely. Well, that song says, yeah, smooth crackhead. Oh, we call Diamond Jimmy because, like, he would come by, like a 20 from somebody, and he would sit there and he would always like cut it into, like, he would take little, like, say somebody gave him, $20 to get something like this. He would always turn it into a little diamond. So he would steal little pieces that he didn't think people would notice. And so he would do it. He would always make it into a diamond the way he did it, stealing little crumbs off somebody that trusted him to get some crack. So we always called him Diamond Jimmy and shit. Todd. I hope that brother's still alive. But I mean, he made sense. He still respected himself. Knew he had addiction, but he had enough, to know that, to be still functional, be respectable. He still, had to look a certain way. And here's, boys, you guys probably have, a lot of you that are athletes probably saw. Do you know the amount of people that, like, when I first started playing semi-pro ball and pickup ball, and then 5 years later, these dudes were zombie drug addicts. Like, you couldn't believe that these people once kept themselves in shape, and like, met them 5 years before, and these people kept themselves in shape, and then when this disease hit really hard, all of a sudden they never stayed in shape anymore. You just, man, not eating right and all this kind of stuff. So, well, I'm gonna get off. So thank you guys for coming. Till I really get everything moved in, I can't do this consistently. It's just I got too many. Plus, I work now too, so you know. And so, oh, and then got all the results on my arm. Oh my goodness, because I can do this, but like if you put like your hand there, I can't turn it with any kind of pressure. Like if I told my girl's family, if she said I hit her with my right hand, she'd be a lying somebody, because I could not hit you. I could hit you with my right hand, but it would do a lot of damage to my arm. I just don't have a lot of that in it, but I can do this. But I went in the MRI like this, like Superman and shit. They made me put my arm out. I had to dope myself up to get in that sucker. I'm on my stomach because I couldn't lay in it like this. I refused to sit in it like this. So they were like, well, maybe if you could just put your arm out like that. And I just kept my eyes closed as long as the Valium was keeping me calm. And yeah, all kind of shit is fucked up in my arm. So go see a surgeon or specialist, they call it, to see if it's worth it, because I'm still pretty good at pickleball. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm in shape. I do about 4 miles of work a day, so I'm in shape. So this has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. I'm your funky host, Big Pontiac, coming from Black Dog Mountain in Minnesota. Till we meet again, say less.